right, it's a very wonderful morning to you, dear listener. It's a very beautiful Monday morning. Welcome to the agenda on Dominion Brokers Group. So today, I started with a smile. However, we pause today to honor the memory of a towering figure in our nation's history. Former President Muhammadu Buhari, who passed away on Sunday, July 13, 2025, at the age of 82 in a London clinic. His departure marks the end of an era, leaving behind a legacy that will resonate in the hearts of Nigerians for generations. Born on December 17, 1942, in Daura, Katsina State, Muhammadu Buhari rose from humble beginnings to become a defining voice in Nigeria's journey. A disciplined military man, he served as Nigeria's head of state from 1983 to 1985, leading with a fierce commitment to discipline and order through his war against indiscipline campaign. Decades after, as a democratically elected president from 2015 to 2023, he made history as the first opposition candidate to unseat an incumbent, defeating President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in 2015. That was a testament to the power of the people's will. Former President Buhari's tenure was marked by an unwavering resolve to tackle corruption, stabilize the economy, and confront the scourge of insurgency, particularly Boko Haram. His administration launched the National Social Investment Program, NSIP, empowering millions of vulnerable Nigerians through initiatives like the N-Power and the Conditional Cash Transfer Program. These efforts aimed to uplift the youth, women, and the poorest amongst us, reflecting his belief in a more equitable Nigeria. Though his leadership faced challenges, economic hardships, persistent insecurity, and criticism over governance, Buhari's reputation for integrity remained unshaken. Buhari was known as a man of principle. He carried the broom as a symbol of his pledge to sweep away corruption, earning respect as a leader who shunned personal enrichment. His military background and stoic demeanor inspired both admiration and debate. But his patriotism and dedication to Nigeria's unity were undeniable. Buhari was quiet. But as we reflect on his life, we remember a man who survived coups, led through turbulent times, and never wavered in his service to the nation. From his early days in the Nigerian army to his role as a statesman, Buhari's journey was one of resilience, courage, and sacrifice. Buhari went on to plead with Nigerians, apologizing to Nigerians when he was about handing over in May 2023, saying, "If I've offended you, please forgive me." Let's listen to former President Muhammadu Buhari here.
Whoever thought that there has been some form of injustice on him, we are all humans. There is no doubt I hurt some people, and I wish they would pardon me. And those that think that I've hurt them so much, Please pardon me. I thank you very much.
Former President Muhammadu Buhari there, he begged Nigerians to pardon him. Did Nigerians pardon him? Those that he offended, those that seem he might have meted injustice upon. Well, his health challenges, which took him to London for treatment in his final weeks, only underscored his human frailty, reminding us that even the mightiest amongst us are mortal. To his family, especially his widow, Aisha, and his children, we extend our deepest condolences to the people of Nigeria. We share the grief, but also in the pride of a leader who tried to shape our nation's story. As President Bola Tinubu prepares to lead state honors and funeral arrangements, from Dominion Brokers Group, we join in praying for Buhari's soul to find peace in paradise as expressed across the nation today. Former Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo paid a humorous tribute to his principal, former President Muhammadu Buhari, at the Femi Adesina's book launch. Working for Buhari, Femi Adesina was a special advisor to former President Muhammadu Buhari on media. Let's listen to Professor Yemi Osinbajo. It was humorous.
I complained to him very bitterly about a libelous comment that was made against me, and that I wanted to give him notice that I would be suing those who had libeled me. And he said to me in his usual style, Professor, don't let these people bother you. Do you know what they did to me recently? They actually printed an invitation card that I was going to get married on a Friday at the National Mosque. He said, and you won't believe Nigerians, there were thousands of them waiting for me at the National, waiting for me to come and get married. And to tell you that President Buhari was always ready to laugh at himself.
Very hilarious former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, saying these even while his principal, Muhammadu Buhari, was seated there. But Buhari is no more. Femi Adesina, who was launching his book then, also had something to say about his former principal just yesterday. His former principal, Muhammadu Buhari. Let's take a listen to Femi Adesina.
Christmas, December 2015. He called me. He said, Adesina, I know you are a church person. When it is Christmas, go and be with your family. And when you come back in January, me too, I'll then take a short leave. And throughout our 8 years, he ensured that we, that are Christians working with me, when it is Easter, when it is Christmas, when it is December, Christmas, he will tell us to go and enjoy that season with our families. So, contrary to what many people believed, he was not a religious bigot. And then, discipline. You needed to know how disciplined President Buhari was. If he had a meeting at 9, on the dot of 9, he was seated. He would not say he's president and then he will come 1 hour late and not even render an apology and just start the meeting. No, he was not a person like that. He was a stickler for time. I guess that came from his military background. He was disciplined. And it was one of the things I admired in him. And of course, integrity. You cannot accuse President Buhari of anything that has the slightest affinity to corruption. I know the next question will be, so many people around him have been accused of corruption. But the thing is, you cannot link President Buhari with corruption in any way.
Femi Adesina there. Femi Adesina was a special advisor, to former President Muhammadu Buhari on media. Let us honor Muhammadu Buhari, not just in mourning, but by embracing the values he championed. Discipline, integrity, and a relentless commitment to Nigeria's progress. Rest in peace, General. Rest in peace, President. Rest in peace, Patriot. Buhari's legacy lives on in the hearts of Nigeria. It's good to have you this morning on the agenda, Johnny Zuchukwu. Well, Nigeria this morning is mourning, as it were. Former President Muhammadu Buhari left and is sleeping eternally now after years of health challenges. Would you miss Buhari for any other thing?
All right, Chike, thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigeria. Well, in a country where the mortality rate is 54 years, so if a man has lived 82 years and he has lived it in affluence, in
perceived affluence.
Well, you see, he's not perceived.
He will tell you he's not rich, he's poor.
That's not correct. He's just been economical with the truth.
Okay.
You don't say that a man who had lived 80 years, 82 years, we are not really mourning. I would say that we're celebrating a man who has served his country, and Nigeria has been good to him, and so he has passed on. But we need to look at his legacies. If really they are worth emulating. And because it's only in this part of the world we tell stories, good stories about people who had passed on. And we need to set history right for people to know. Otherwise, we'll be misleading the future generation. He's done well for himself. He's aspired to be head of state through a coup d'etat, which he eventually accomplished. And then he resiliently fought to become Nigeria's president. And he did by, the historical unseating of the then civilian government, the then government of Jonathan, and then, of course, him doing his 8 years tenure. He's done well for himself and his community. I mean, we extend our condolences to them. However, we must also look at the facts on ground about leadership, about governance, about the fact that is he really corrupt, as people are saying that he's not corrupt. Because
he possessed the attributes of integrity.
Chike is in the media. Most of the northerners come out to say that the Megaskia that people have been talking about that is not true. Because at the end of the day, you cannot tell me that you're not corrupt and you close your eyes to people stealing national assets, embezzling public fund under your watch and leadership. We have to give credit to his government for recovering about $9 billion in assets under his government. But of course, the prosecution of corruption at the time was also selective. Critics, looked at the whole process of the media campaign against corruption and all of that, and that was not exactly what it should be on ground. And at the end of the day, it was more like a vendetta government trying to reach out to attack those who, had over the years offended him. So we need to set the record straight. He's done well for himself, and for the people of Daura, we acknowledge that, and we extend our condolences. But we must also look at the fact that if you have 8 or 10 years or 11 years of a nation's life, and you didn't do anything significant to have moved the country from where you met it, I mean, we should not be singing your praises. I'm not part of that.
Are you now saying that former President Muhammadu Buhari has no footprints in the sands of Nigeria's time?
Chike, let's begin from his military, the military interruption he led.
Okay, so if you look at it as a military officer, in December 31, 1983, he seized power, ousted President Shagari, and became head of state.
Today,
let's start from there.
Today, we are speaking against military interjection. Should that be emulated?
But he became a repentant Democrat.
Chike, you see, let's take the fact one after the other. You just raised him. I wanted to raise him.
Yes.
Now, today, we are saying we do not want a military interjection. So if a young Nigerian aspires to do the same, should we encourage him? No. That was a civilian government that was beginning to put things right. He came and interjected it, and he was one of those who took Nigeria far back.
He became head of state from December 31, 1983 to August 1985. And then on August 27, 1985, his government was overthrown by the Major General then, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. And then he later became a convert, a repentant Democrat, as it were, where on December 10, 2014, he won the primaries, the presidential primaries of the All Progressives Congress, the amalgamation of several parties coming together. He became the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress on December 10, 2014. And then March 29, 2015, he was sworn in as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which he survived the turbulent times, health-wise and all that, for 8 years. Would you say he has not done anything worth seeing as a president, as a head of state? Let's even leave the military era where Nigerians have come out to even condemn. Even as a civilian head of state, are you saying there's no legacy?
It would be unfair to say he did not do anything.
Okay.
But when you look at the effort he put into wanting to become Nigeria's president,
and becoming the president,
the democratic setting now.
Yes.
After 2-3 attempts, he finally became the president. One would expect that he was coming to transform Nigeria. That's why many of his loyalists and followers were disappointed, including those of us who are in the media. We were expecting that Nigeria was going to be transformed, and that was not what it is. I mean, it's obvious that the burden of governance that this government is battling with much of it was was created by his government. And we did not to pretend about it.
But you know one interesting thing about this whole thing? When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu became the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, many senators, many ministers have blamed the economic woes today on the Buhari administration. But Buhari is late today. You see tributes, lovely, well scripted. You see them, the same people who condemned his administration, saying that administration put Nigeria to where we are today, are the same people saying lofty things about him, even in death. Are you saying this issue of do not say anything negative about the dead is what is happening right now?
Exactly.
Among the political class?
It's a cultural thing. And again, it's political sycophancy. People just want to be in the good book of those who are within the elite class. Do you understand?
Yes.
And so nobody wants to talk about the wrong of somebody who is gone to be, who is gone out of this world. But again, because those in the media and the civil society, we must set the record straight so that we don't create a wrong narrative. Nobody is saying that he's not done well for himself, for his family, and perhaps for a section of Nigeria. Because under his government, is a known fact. Nepotism got to the highest peak in this country. We had never seen it that way. It was as if it was a government of the North.
And what does it look like now?
Well, now you could say you have some element of nepotism tilting toward the West. But however, you could also see some measure of discretion being put in place to manage, the nepotic move. And that's why we ask questions again and again. I don't have anything against him. He's done well. We appreciate the fact that he volunteered to lead Nigeria. However, we must set the record straight. Under him, we got into multi-dimensional poverty. If you check the perception index about corruption, Nigeria was ranking very low. I mean, if you check foreign direct investment, we're ranking very low under his government. So everything was wrong. And we must understand. So, but he's done well. We appreciate and we extend our condolences to his family and to the nation at large.
All right. Same yesterday, July 13, another tree fell in Nigeria. This time around, not a political tree, but a cultural and traditional tree fell. A tree that has been on ground since 1960. Obasikiru Kayode Adetona, the Awujale of Ijebuland. He was crowned at the age of 26 on the 2nd of April, 1960. And he eventually joined our illustrious ancestors yesterday, as announced. The longest serving monarch, as it were, in Nigeria. 65 years on the throne. Ijebu will miss Adetona.
Oh, certainly.
Especially, that fanfare of the Ojude Oba.
Exactly.
Exactly. The Ojude Oba became an institution. And one thing about the late monarch is that he's always saying truth to power. He's always, trying to put government on his toes. Despite the fact that he always runs away from partisan politics. And that's the attribute of a monarch.
Yes, you see, the traditional rulers are custodians of traditions and cultures and values. And you cannot take that away from such, a brilliant, intelligent, educated Oba that we have in the Awujale. He's a great man. I have personally, I've been interested in things that happen within the Ogun State, axis, and I've seen that, the innovation and the creativity he had brought into the Ojude Oba had promoted the Nigerian culture, particularly the Ijebu culture, to international space. I mean, it was a talk of the town at the time. So we must acknowledge that, and then we also need to look at the fact that Ijebu looks like the hub for choosing leaders in Ogun State, and also because of the kind of relationship they have with one another. Is said that an Ijebu person, once he gets somewhere, he tries to bring other Ijebu people to be around, and then they're all doing well together. So we must look at that and acknowledge the fact that we have that leader at the traditional ruling space, and other traditional space. Leaders should also emulate that. Don't just be there and just clap and sing for people in government. Make effort to speak truth to power. You don't know how it's going to be impacting your people positively. If those who are in politics can say it, the traditional, rulers should be able to speak truth to power, which is what the Awujale has done with his life.
Awujale died at the age of 91. Apparently, he was a friend of Buhari. Yesterday, both of them shook hands in the other world.
I don't know if you were there, but so shaking hands in other world.
Well, we commiserate with the people of Ogun State, Ijebu people in particular, and Nigeria at large, over the demise of the revered monarch Obasikiru Kayode Adetona, the Awujale of Ijebuland. May the grand architect of the universe grant him a safe passage to that serene cottage. Let's delve into another discussion this day, and it's talking about leadership, especially in Africa. News broke over the weekend that Cameroon's long-serving president, Paul Biya, has officially declared his intention to run for an unprecedented 8th term in office. A move that could see him remain in power until he's nearly 100 years old. Power. Paul Biya, who took office in 1982, about 43 years today, made the announcement via social media on Sunday, ending months of speculation with the words, "Rest assured that my determination to serve you matches the urgency of the challenges we face." End of quote. Haven't they been facing these challenges since 1982? But Paul Biya is now 92. And he's the world's oldest sitting head of state. Despite rarely appearing in public and facing mounting health rumors, especially after a 42-day disappearance last year, Paul Biya remains a central figure in Cameroonian politics, having removed term limits in 2008. However, the declaration has sparked renewed outcry from critics and opposition leaders who say his extended rule has stalled democracy and economic development. Some of his former allies have already broken ranks and declared independent bids ahead of the October 12 election. Meanwhile, civil society groups are warning that the country may face a succession crisis if the veteran leader becomes too ill to govern or dies in office, especially amid ongoing security crises in the English-speaking regions and the persistent Boko Haram attacks in the north. Well, Cameroon, which has had only 2 presidents since independence, interesting. Since early 1960s, they've had only 2 presidents. It now stares at a crossroad at the moment. Let's start with the big picture. This sit-tight syndrome. John, what is it and why is it so common in African politics?
My simple answer will remain that the people in power are stronger than the people who give them power. That's why you could remain there for 40 years, for 35 years, and nobody's challenging you. And unfortunately so, the instrument of government do not realize that their loyalty should be to the people. Because you can't expect such a man to continue to be in government, and everybody, including the armed forces and the police and everybody he uses to keep himself in the office, are not able to say, no, this is not democracy. This is no longer democracy. This is more like a monarchy that is there, claiming to be a democrat. This is no longer democracy. If it's democracy, one of the major features is that there must be periodic elections. There must be options for the people. Cameroon is not the best of it. I mean, if you look at the statistics about human development, it's far behind.
One interesting thing is that since 1962, thereabout, when Cameroon gained independence, they've had only 2 presidents. And then he became president in 1982. Even now at 92 years and being president for 43 years, he doesn't seem to be stepping down soon.
He will step down. Death will make him step down.
Are you praying for him?
I'm not praying, but you see, at 92, what else do you want?
He should just go
Even
rest.
if they give you food, it's no longer making sense. You see, I don't know how we think. And I think that this African mentality of sit-tight syndrome, and not just that, this idea of wanting to remain relevant forever, it amazes me. It's as if we don't know that life is in stages. I mean, you can't be on the stage forever. You don't, but nobody shines forever. We must get it right. Today's your turn. It's going to be someone else's turn tomorrow. And you must accept that that's the reality of life. But it's unfortunate that we want to get into government and remain in government forever. When you are even living, you are putting your wife or your children, your grandson in government so that you have somebody in government at all times. It doesn't sound. Sometimes I wonder how we think. For me, it's a poverty mentality, because the only man who is afraid of falling again, that wants to be in power forever,
even when he has nothing at stake.
He has tested money and fame and popularity and power. He doesn't want to come down. I mean, and life happens. So I just think that the people of that can't happen in Nigeria. I assure you, it can't happen in Nigeria. You see, because we are enlightened and conscientized people. We will resist it, and so they should wake up and resist it.
Okay,
it's no longer democracy.
Yeah, let's not forget, in Cameroon, they call him the absentee president in Cameroon. And it's just because he's known for spending significant time abroad, you know. And so, especially if you look at his travels, he stays more in Switzerland. Now, his absenteeism and his almost, you know, his state right now, where inactive states, as it were, don't you think it will affect governance in Cameroon?
It will certainly do.
Where it will be a free fall for all.
It is only honorable for him at this stage to step down and hand over power to produce a younger person who will take the baton from there. He's not making any sense anymore. He will not be in charge of the government. Everything and anything can go. And so, how do you expect you see, it will only plunge the country into crisis. Because if it dies, along the way, you will end up seeing different kind of persons coming in to fight for power. And Cameroon may be plunged into another, cycle of crisis. And at the end of the day, we'll be suffering from it, because countries around you, when you're having crisis, are going to partake of a crisis.
That's why about the crisis in Cameroon, there's been this back and forth between the Anglophone and the Francophone, which about over 6,000 people have lost their lives in this crisis. And he's still sitting tight. If there is a military incursion there, do you think he might leave?
If military were supposed to,
or has he pocketed them?
That's what it is.
Okay.
You see, the average African wants a good life, because he feels that hardship is synonymous to our context. Poverty is synonymous to our context. And any opportunity he sees to escape poverty, he grabs it with his two hands. That's why people of conscience had not risen all these years to challenge him. Because you can't tell me that the military in Cameroon are comfortable with what is happening. But usually, the guys who summon the courage to take such tasks must have been called to offices and given them some good things, and then they forget about it. You guys can go and suffer. So I think that at this point in time, the voice of reason should prevail. People should rise up in Cameroon to challenge this impunity. Is anti-democratic, and is not going to bring development to the people.
So let's look at it from the flip side now. If people like Biya, that's leaders like Paul Biya, are perceived to have experience and continuity, why then do you condemn them?
Why is Cameroon the way it is? What is their experience and continuity? What has it produced? You cannot be relevant for nothing now. You can't be. Why do you think other countries that are advanced, they periodically remove people and inject new blood? Look at the guy in Tanzania. Look at the guy in Senegal. Those guys are beginning to bring in new things. I mean, challenging the status quo. We can't continue with this same old paradigm. So you can't bring people who are already outdated. They're not invoked. They're not in touch with reality of development. And then you continue there. So I think that, you see, that's why when you kill education, when you kill critical thinking, you are probably destroying the country. People should wake up and challenge the status quo. It should not be there forever. Just imagine it.
You talked about the citizens earlier, but why is it that the citizens are not demanding change? Is it gullibility? What is it?
Chike, when a man is captured in his mind, he accepts anything and everything.
So they've been manipulated.
They've been captured and manipulated.
So the average Cameroonian is manipulated.
That's the same thing our government, our politicians are doing to us. When you see them use religion and ethnicity to manipulate us, it's just to capture our mind. You keep fighting on the non-essential, while the essentials of government are not being attended to. So what they are doing, what is doing, is to perpetually cage the people, and that's why sometimes for there to be development, there needs to be some form of revolution. Some form of revolution, because otherwise you will continue the status quo. These guys, this upper class will remain so forever.
But isn't this a problem across Africa? Look at Museveni of Uganda. Look at Paul Kagame of Rwanda. John, is this sit-tight syndrome thing uniquely an African thing?
I personally have described Paul Kagame as a benevolent Democrat.
Benevolent Democrat. Because
when you see what is happening in Rwanda, Rwanda is advancing, is making progress. Maybe they've looked at the variant of democracy they need to adopt to make things work, or for sustainability. And he's trying to say, let's sustain what we have built or what we are doing for a while. I'm not a supporter of him remaining in power, but I'm saying that if you put him side by side all of these guys, you will see that Kagame has done much more for his people. He is more development oriented. He is more progressive in his thinking, in his actions.
Museveni,
and they go to periodic election.
Yeah,
he's been elected.
Now Museveni of Uganda has stayed there for long too. However, all of a sudden, recently, Uganda have started picking up, especially the economy of Uganda.
Well, Chike, no matter how things are, whether in all, you cannot remain there forever. That's the point. You should be able to step out, let others try it. You're not the best brain the country has.
Is there a support from the West, especially France? Is there support?
They are not happy that Kagame is there.
No, I mean for Paul Biya staying there for long. Is there a support from the West, especially France?
There have been such insinuation.
Okay.
Because you see, France is a very mischievous country.
How? That's a grave allegation.
It's not an allegation. Let me also tell you today, it's a known fact that some of the foreign mercenaries aiding terrorism in Nigeria are from France. Some of the NGOs they use in bringing in fund to sponsor terrorism is already in the media. I'm not the one saying it. You can Google it. They are there. Studies have found it out that they are not there for humanitarian activity. They are there to fund terrorism. They are there to support insurgency because they want to destabilize the West Africa. Is their goal? And then it's unfortunate that we are not waking up to confront this. And as long as we allow this to continue, we will be playing at the mercy of the West.
So what can break this sit-tight syndrome, and then how do we move forward?
Okay, it's nothing more than a revolution. People should wake up, just like in Nigeria. Obasanjo wanted to try it now, just to add one more tenure to his time. You can't do that in a country like this. You can't. So they should wake up, and you see, nobody can liberate Africans except we ourselves. The West will come and liberate because the West want us underdeveloped so that we will keep being slaves. They will keep exploiting our resources and going to develop their own countries. And then they will now steer up and fund conflict in our own space. We'll be fighting conflict, fighting insurgency while they are busy taking our... Do you know how many people, how many nationalities are extracting gold, extracting resources from Nigeria as we speak? Even Chinese. Extracting resources illegally and taking it to their country, whereas they are busy taking fragments of their resources to fund, conflict here and there, and then we're in trouble. Meanwhile, they are living large. So we need to come together and realize that it is not for the interest of the West for any African country to develop.
Well, lastly, for Cameroon, what do you think is the outlook for a post-Paul Biya era? if Paul Biya leaves now for staying for too long, now what do you think would be the outlook of Cameroon?
He's created a very terrible precedence. Howbeit,
Will there be a succession crisis?
Yes, the likelihood is high if he dies in office. The other side is high. But if the people are wise to create an opposition and fight him very strongly during this election, so that he doesn't get into power, it will be for their own benefit. Get a younger person to steer the power of that country for the next season. I think it will be a great one to be done.
All right, thank you, John, for this insightful discussion this morning. I hope we have more of this kind of discussions tomorrow.
Thank you, Chike. It's my pleasure.
All right, let's keep this conversation going. Do follow us on all our social media platforms on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The handle is @Dominion Broadcast. On the app X, it is @DominionCast. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng. My name is Chike Ubogu. Enjoy your week. Best wishes. Bye for now.